Prof Frimpong Boateng and two others have dragged the NPP, the NDC and CPP to the Supreme Court, challenging the delegate-based electoral systems used by these parties. They are asking the court to declare these systems unconstitutional and push for internal election that allow all members to participate equally and directly. The delegate system has been criticized for limiting popular participation, encouraging vote buying and favoring candidates with financial resources. The plaintiffs argue that this system undermines democracy and excludes many party members from the decision-making process. Well, my colleague Michael Ashali has been going through the document. He joins me in the studio with more on that. Michael, who are the other plaintiffs and what exactly is their argument?
So we know that Professor Frimpong Boateng, who is a member of the NPP, we also know that Nyawo Tamaklo is also then this one Christian who is a former member of Minister of State of the country. But essentially, foresee the argument, the heart of the case is Article 55, Clause 5 of the 1992 Constitution, which clearly says that the internal organization of a political party shall conform to democratic principles, and its actions and purposes shall not contravene or be inconsistent with this Constitution or any other law. The three individuals come to the conclusion that because the majority of the political parties, specifically these three political parties, because they operate a delegate-based system in appointing either their presidential candidates or parliamentary candidates, then they feel that some people have been disenfranchised in the process.
And I know that they also cite specific provisions in the different political parties' constitution to back their points. Tell us more.
Yeah, so starting with the New Patriotic Party, the plaintiffs point to Article 13 of the NPP Constitution, which talks about several items. Now, they say that while the member can be applied to contest, the final choice of presidential candidate is made by a limited electoral college, and voting for them is restricted to party executives, office holders, elders, MPs, ministers, TESCON representatives, and selected delegates. Ordinarily, ordinary members who hold no office are excluded in such a process. And for parliamentary candidates in the NPP, Article 7 establishes an extraordinary constituency delegates conference. Again, voting is limited to executives, coordinators, polling station officers, elders, patrons, and a few others who, of course, who may not hold full membership. And again, everybody in the party does not vote on that. If you go to the NDC, the National Democratic Congress, the plaintiffs say the party currently operates a delegate-based electoral college under Articles 43 and 44 of the Constitution. They acknowledge that the NDC once introduced universal suffrage in 2015, allowing all registered members to vote, but the party later reversed that decision and returned to a restricted electoral college in 2019. As it stands now, they argue that voting is confined to executives, office holders, and selected delegates, excluding the wider membership. Not everyone within the NDC, or not everybody who has a card as an NDC member, gets to decide who becomes the next John Mahama or becomes the next MP for their area if you are an NDC member. For the CPP, which is a Conventions People's Party, the rate points to Articles 96 and 77. The CPP's presidential candidate is elected by National Delegates Congress, not by the general membership. That Congress is made up of executives, elders, constituency officers, and selected representatives. Ordinary members, again, notably, without positions, are not allowed to vote. The same applies at the constituency level for parliamentary candidates, where voting is limited to a constituency branch party conference made up of specific office holders for stay.
So finally, what reliefs are they seeking in court? So
first, if you look at the reliefs that they are seeking for, about 8 of them that they are essentially asking the courts to rule on. But the major 3 are these: declaration that the delegate-based systems are unconstitutional, null, void, and of no effect. Again, they want the Supreme Court to strike down all provisions in constitutions that restrict elections to limited electoral college or delegate bodies. And then finally, order to amend constitutions to allow equal, direct, meaningful participation of all members in good standings. So essentially, these are the 3 things that they're asking. And in short, they want everybody who holds a card as part of any political party should be able to decide who becomes the next flag bearer or presidential candidate of the party, and also should decide who should represent the party at the constituency level as their member of parliament.
And we'll wait to see how the court will rule on that case. Well,